Tim with Ace Appliance in Toledo, Ohio, and welcome back to another in-home diagnostic video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com. Alright, so we're on a GE side-by-side refrigerator that is not cooling. We opened up the freezer side and saw a bunch of frost, so we know that we have a defrost issue. And the simplest way to find out what it is to open up this back panel and ohm out the components from the back. Okay, the tools you'll need for this repair are a multimeter or volt ohm meter, a common Phillips screwdriver, a heat gun, and some wire strippers. So we're going to do that now. The first thing we're going to do is unplug the unit. It's unplugged, and now we're going to remove this panel that covers the main control board. The fastest and easiest way to check our components is right here at these connections. So we're going to take this guy off of there and this one. We're going to set our meter to the ohms reading. And what we're checking we're going from the line terminal through the defrost components, and this will go through the defrost thermostat and the heater. We should get about 10 ohms or so, and when we check through it, we're basically getting an infinite reading, meaning that those components are open. So we know that our control board is good, and that what we're looking at are the defrost heater and thermostat, which we'll be able to visually see and check once we get into the freezer section. Alright, so on our GE side-by-side refrigerator that's not cooling, when we first got here we opened up the freezer section and saw all this frost on the back, and that's always a good indication that we're not getting, our automatic defrost is not working. And we have diagnosed that it needs a heater and thermostat. So now we're just going to remove all the shelving to get access to the evaporator. And what should be a nice even distribution of frost will look much more like a big ice cube. And the lack of airflow and saturation of the evaporator is why it's not cooling for us. So once we get all the shelving out, we just got a couple of screws to remove, and we can take off the evaporator cover. So once those two are removed, we'll take off this little grounding strap. And now we can peel back our evaporator cover to expose our problem child. And where all of this looks like a big ice cube, it should just have a nice even coating of frost. So our components that we're going to be replacing are the heater down here and the thermostat right up here. So we can see that this is actually, this one probably won't test bad, but it's starting to pop up. Say that again. Alright, while this one probably won't test bad right now, it is starting to lift around the edges, so it's going to go bad, so we're going to preempt it by replacing it now. And we'll show you a picture of the heater when we take it out. You'll see how dark it is, and it is electrically open. So those are our problems. We'll replace those, remove all the frost with a heat gun, and we'll be good to go. Okay, we have two Phillips screws that hold this heater in place. So we are going to remove those. With those out of the picture, we can lift up a little bit. They have a little lip on them that holds them in place, and just kind of rotate them out of the way. On this, you can see how dark and actually just see that it's broken right there. And our new one will be nice and clear and clean. So we'll just remove the connections off of this guy. And that one is out of the way. All right, so now we're going to snip off the old thermostat and splice or remove the insulation off the wires so we can wire in the new one. So now we have those cut and ready to put the new thermostat on. We'll remove all this frost, install both of our components, and button her back up. All right, we're going to manually defrost with a heat gun this evaporator, and so we don't overflow the drain pan. We're just going to put a towel down there. Now it's important that with the heat coming off of this, we continuously move this heat gun, otherwise you'll melt the liner and then you'll have all kind of problems. So keep it moving, and here we go. Alright, so we're almost done defrosting our evaporator. It's not so important to get everything off of there, but getting most of it off will be just fine. And we're gonna wrap up our towel here and get it out of the way. We'll let a little bit go down, make sure we're draining right into the drain pan. And now we're just gonna go ahead and replace our new heater. You can see how clean and fresh the coil looks. All right, so we are going to replace our heater, and we're gonna make our connections first. Get that one in there nice and firm. Get this one in there. Now we'll just rotate it, get the clips up and in, and it should stay there to begin with. And then we'll put in our Phillips screws. Get that one firmly mounted, and just make sure we got a little bit of slack on our heater wire. Then we'll get the other side in. And the same thing on this one. We'll have a little bit of slack on there and get it back into our styrofoam here to make sure it's pushed back. So there we go. And now we're gonna wire in our new thermostat. All right, so we have our new thermostat and have removed a bit of the insulation to get nice good contact. So we're just gonna get those wires close together and wire nut this guy in. And we'll do the same thing with the other one. Now, since these are in a harsh environment, you can either put some silicone in there, or at the very least wrap them up with a little bit of electrical tape, so that, mainly not so the connection stays good, but so you don't get any moisture in there that can freeze and separate the connection. And it's just a preventative measure. And once that's all wrapped up, we'll take this little hook right here and attach it to the evaporator. I always like to tuck the wires back in and then tilt this. Don't have it flat like that, just tilt it a little bit so that any of the stuff can run off, and it prevents that from prematurely breaking. And now we can put our evaporator cover back on. Alright, so now we're going to reinstall the evaporator cover. Get that into place. We'll put on our grounding strap. Really the only thing to make sure on this is that these little side plates don't get pushed in. And we'll put our screws back in. reinstall our light cover. The only thing to do next is put our shelving in, turn it on, and we are all done. Thank you for watching another in-home diagnostic video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com.